In the world of international intrigue and territorial aspirations, there exists a map that has become more than just a charting of land and sea. It is a symbol of ambition, a catalyst for outrage, and a focal point of discontent that has drawn the attention of nations from the icy expanses of Russia to the tropical havens of Indonesia. Welcome to the saga of the 9-line, where maps aren't just ink on paper, they are the sparks that ignite a global firestorm of territorial tensions. The release of the 2023 China Standard Map by the Ministry of Natural Resources in Beijing has incited vehement objections from numerous nations. This updated cartographic representation reasserts Beijing's territorial claims over regions like Arunachal Pradesh, the Aksai Chin area, Taiwan, and the South China Sea, areas that continue to be subjects of contentious dispute. Moreover, it boldly incorporates maritime zones situated within Malaysia's exclusive economic zone, EEZ, adjacent to Sabah and Sarawak, along with regions concerning Brunei, the Philippines, Indonesia, and Vietnam. This provocative cartographic move has ignited significant political turmoil and diplomatic consternation on the international stage. This is not the first time that China has come up with such a map. China's extensive history of territorial disputes extends to almost every one of its neighboring countries. While it currently engages in land border disputes exclusively with India and Bhutan, it doesn't stop there. China has assertively staked maritime territorial claims, sparking conflicts with the likes of South Korea, Japan, Vietnam, the Philippines, Indonesia, Brunei, and Malaysia. The audacity doesn't end at its borders either. China continues to assert sovereignty over Taiwan, an independently governed entity, as part of its own territory, awaiting what it calls reunification. German author Ute Schneider writes in her book, The Power of Maps, that there are no objective or unbiased maps because maps are instruments of power. The recent release of a new map by China and the subsequent controversy it has stirred in India is a clear illustration of how maps can be wielded as tools for asserting authority and influence. According to Tim Traynor, who serves as the chairman of the International Cartographic Association and is a founding member of the United Nations Committee of Experts on Global Geospatial Information Management, maps possess significant persuasive capabilities. Traynor emphasized that maps hold substantial influence over individuals' perceptions of different regions, as most people tend to trust the accuracy of the information presented in maps when they consult them. On August 29, India made an unprecedented move, delivering a firm diplomatic protest to China regarding a controversial new map. This map, published by China, boldly asserts its sovereignty over the northeastern state of Arunachal Pradesh and the disputed Aksai Chin Plateau, marking a significant escalation in the ongoing territorial dispute between the two nations. The border regions in question have been long-standing sources of tension and contention between India and China, with simmering disputes that reached a boiling point following a deadly clash between their respective militaries in the Galwan Valley in 2020. Indian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Arindam Bagchi minced no words in rejecting these claims, asserting that they lack any substantive foundation. Bagchi emphasized that such actions by the Chinese side serve only to further complicate the already intricate challenge of resolving the boundary question between the two nations. Malaysia and the Philippines are following India's move in protesting against China for its newly published map staking claims over disputed territories, while Indonesia says that the drawing of territorial lines must be in accordance with international laws. The Philippine Foreign Ministry, in a no-nonsense tone, declared that China's latest endeavor to legitimize its sovereignty and control over Philippine territories and maritime zones is utterly groundless in the eyes of international law. They called upon China to exercise responsibility and adhere to its obligations under international law, in addition to recognizing a pivotal 2016 ruling by an international tribunal in The Hague, which categorically dismissed Beijing's South China Sea claims. It's worth noting that China, which conspicuously abstained from participating in the tribunal's proceedings, has persistently refused to accept the ruling. Unlike previous iterations of Chinese maps that prominently feature the controversial 9-line encircling the South China Sea, this new map presents a twist, a 10-line. Though not entirely novel, China has wielded the 10- line in the past. The enigmatic 10th dash conspicuously positions itself to the east of Taiwan, an island of self-governance that Beijing relentlessly insists is its territory. In a staunch reaffirmation of their autonomy, the Taiwanese Foreign Ministry underscored this week that Taiwan stands as a distinct entity, separate from China's dominion. Navigating map-driven tensions. Protests from Asian governments have arisen in response to a recent map of China's national borders, which controversially encompasses the territories of neighboring countries, including a small portion of Russia. Bolshoi-Usharysky Island, also known as Haiksyazi, is situated at the confluence of two border rivers, and its legal ownership is jointly recognized by both countries. However, China's official map asserts its territorial claim by incorporating the entire 135 square mile strategically important land into its easternmost territory. India. Beijing considers the region part of Tibet and announced new Chinese place names there in April. Its map also includes Aksai Chin in the west, controlled by China but claimed by India. The Indian government, along with at least one lawmaker, swiftly reacted to what they perceived as a cartographic encroachment on India's northern state of Arunachal Pradesh, situated at the eastern terminus of the contentious 2,100-mile border, widely recognized as the line of actual control. South China Sea. Malaysia is of the view that the South China Sea issue is a complex and sensitive matter. Malaysia wasted no time in leading the charge among the coastal states bordering the resource-rich sea, vehemently opposing China's assertive map, which lays claim to disputed features and a significant portion of Malaysia's exclusive economic zone. According to international law, a state's sovereignty extends to the maritime resources within its exclusive economic zone, which reaches up to 200 nautical miles from its coast. In a strongly worded statement, the Malaysian Foreign Ministry declared, China's 2023 standard map, which erroneously designates parts of Malaysian waters near Sabah and Sarawak as Chinese territory, holds no validity in the eyes of Malaysia. We emphatically reject any association with China's 2023 standard map, as it has no binding authority over Malaysia. Philippines often confronted by China's Coast Guard vessels, who routinely obstruct efforts to resupply a Manila-administered outpost in the contentious Spratly Islands, declared its intention to file a vehement diplomatic protest China's map. It's worth noting that Beijing's expansive maritime claims in the region suffered a resounding rejection in 2016 when the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague ruled overwhelmingly in favor of Manila in the case of Philippines versus China. Notably, the Chinese government refused to engage in the proceedings and has steadfastly refused to acknowledge the tribunal's verdict. Indonesia, while not asserting territorial claims in the South China Sea, is embroiled in a dispute with China over fishing rights within Indonesia's exclusive economic zone, EEZ. The Indonesian Foreign Ministry emphasized on Thursday that depictions of territorial boundaries must adhere to the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. Unclose. Taiwan's inclusion in the Chinese map hardly came as a shock, as Beijing persistently asserts its territorial claim over the democratically governed island. The Republic of China government in Taipei maintains jurisdiction over Taiwan itself and a cluster of outlying island groups, even those situated off China's eastern coast. Over the years, Taipei has staunchly rejected Beijing's sovereignty demands, but it has recently intensified its defense expenditures in response to China's ever-expanding military presence in the vicinity of the Taiwan Strait. The potential geopolitical and geo-economic consequences of any forcible attempt to seize the island are not lost on Taiwan's neighboring nations or its steadfast supporters in the United States. Japan. A recent ban on Japanese seafood products by China has reignited tensions between the two nations. This bold move was triggered by Tokyo's discharge of treated wastewater from the Fukushima nuclear plant, a stark reminder of the 2011 earthquake and tsunami. However, beyond these headlines lies a subtler battleground, the disputed Senkaku Island group, known as Diaoyu to China and Diaoyutai to Taiwan, nestled just northeast of Taiwan in the East China Sea. With these uninhabited islets under Japanese administration and safeguarded by a U.S. defense treaty, a seemingly insignificant map holds the key to larger geopolitical intricacies. Overall, China has territorial disputes with 15 countries, including the Philippines, Vietnam, Japan, India, Nepal, Bhutan, Indonesia, Laos, South Korea, North Korea, Mongolia, Myanmar, Singapore, and Malaysia. Additionally, the issue of Tibet remains contentious, with Tibetans seeking independence while China asserts its control since 1949, leading to the exile of the Dalai Lama and cultural assimilation in the region. In a world where borders are often not just lines on a map, but contentious frontiers of power and sovereignty, the recent disputes surrounding China's territorial claims have cast a revealing light on the intricacies of global politics. From Malaysia's resolute defense of its sovereign rights to the Philippines' unwavering stance against encroachments, and the ever-complex situation in the South China Sea, where various nations navigate choppy waters, it's clear that diplomacy and geopolitics are never too far apart. The simmering conflicts over disputed islands, like the Senkaku Islands, underscore the profound influence of maps, which can serve as both tools of unity and instruments of division. The politics surrounding these maps transcend mere lines and colors, representing deeply rooted national interests, histories, and ambitions. As we navigate these ever-evolving geopolitical waters, it's evident that the global order continues to evolve, with nations asserting their rights and staking claims on the international stage. The future will undoubtedly be shaped by the shifting sands of diplomacy, law, and the ever-present reality that borders are more than just geographical constructs.